My wife, 35 female, and I, 37 male, were together for 12 years. She was a teacher at our town's high school, which I probably shouldn't name. She was a teacher there for 8 years before this happened. We talked about having kids, but she always said she felt like her students were the only children she could handle. There were families whose children she taught and helped graduate high school. A lot of these kids would become independent, working adults in the area armed with the knowledge they learned from her at school parties or meetings. Graduates would often attend with their younger siblings and parents to thank their teachers and update them on their life. This is what happened often for my wife, and she was always so proud. Black small square. I was there the night that one of her former male students who was in his early 20s returned to thank her and chat about the career path he chose. Black small square. She was beaming as she spoke to him more than any other time. I had witnessed her talking to someone. The only other time I saw her beam like that was on our wedding day. I checked it up to her passion as a teacher and knowing she improved her student's life. Black small square. So life continued on as it always does, and everything was going great between us and in our careers. We were cuddling on the couch one night when we started to make out, and I pulled off her shirt as I kissed down her neck. I immediately noticed a hickey on her chest. It completely threw me off. I hesitated but stayed quiet. I decided to act like I didn't see anything. I'm pretty sure it was shock and denial that prevented me from telling her what I saw. Black small square. Later, long after she fell asleep, I laid awake overthinking about the hickey. Eventually I just got out of bed, grabbed her keys and went to snoop in her car. I put my hands everywhere, feeling for anything weird. I checked a few receipts, but they were innocent enough. The trash wasn't suspicious either. I stuck my hand in the back seat pockets and found, to my dismay, an empty condom wrapper. I was completely numb and I could only think of hiring a PI. Black small square. I wouldn't be able to take off work to follow her and she'd spot me or my car from a mile away. Black small square. I didn't want her to know. I knew anything otherwise she might get extra sneaky. So I took some money from my savings and hired a PI. I told him everything he needed to know and he went to work. I couldn't help but call my parents to tell them what was going on. They basically told me they always thought she was capable of cheating. I was shocked. I asked them why they didn't bother telling me, and they said they wanted to let me make my own choice. My mom thought they were just being picky parents, but she could see now that their hunch was worth mentioning. Black small square. The PI followed her for 4 weeks, undetected. He took several photos of them together, kissing, shopping, seeing a play, entering and leaving a hotel room. Always hand in hand. The worst pictures were of them in the back seat of my wife's car parked in the school parking lot. Black small square. I was sick to my stomach when I realized that AP was just a boy, the very same boy my wife used to teach just 2 years ago. I was so upset while my wife was teaching in her classroom. The next morning, I took the evidence to the principal with the request that my wife be fired. He held an impromptu meeting right then and there, calling the higher-ups on video call. It took less than an hour for everyone to agree that this was a violation of the teacher's conduct and ethical rules. She violated school policy by engaging in sexual relations with a former student. As a result, the principal and I went to pull her out of the classroom to break the news to her that she was busted for sleeping with her former student. Black small square. She was mortified, grabbing her mouth and her side. She started sobbing as the principal told her she was officially on leave until a decision could be made regarding her employment. I was so pleased to see her suffering. This was all her fault. It was just a short time later that the decision was made to fire her. Black small square. She got the news right after she moved out of my house into a previous coworker's. Weeks after that, she was served the divorce papers. Although by now she knew they were coming, she basically accepted that her life was ruined, over and done with. I soon found out that this young man my wife cheated on me with was a newlywed. His wife was just 19 years old. It was pretty easy to find her email address on social media. So I sent her a little present, that being the proof that her husband was already cheating on her. My ex and him both only thought of themselves and made very, very bad decisions that led to life-altering consequences. Black small square. I am happy to report that since this, AP and my ex have both had to start a new life. far away. My wife had trouble getting a job here since news spreads fast. I'm doing my best to move on from what happened and I'm taking it one day at a time. There's absolutely no respect in her behavior. And I applaud you for taking every step you took. Finding a hickey is a telltale sign that something is up. You took it a step further until you were sure something had to be done. You went about this in a very wise and proficient way. Black small square. Although what happened is devastating, it's good that the truth came out and that you told his poor teenage wife the reality of the situation. Black small square. There's always another chance to find true love and learn from these hard life lessons. I wish you the best of luck and thank you for sharing your story. Now, let's get into our second story for today. My wife and I had an arranged marriage and it was miserable. Still, we conceived kids and I never ever would have cheated on her. She was still my wife and I had respect for our union, even though I didn't necessarily want to be married to her. I took care of her from the age of 18. And after 14 years of marriage, I trusted her. She lived each day as a stay-at-home mom while I provided for our family. She did everything for us at home. All the laundry, cooking and cleaning. The kids were always happy, clean and obedient. Black small square. Honestly, I just thought she was meant to do this. Black small square in exchange for her heart. And as a mother, she asked me if she could go out with her friends every Monday and Tuesday night. Black small square. I wondered why it always ended up being those 2 days but didn't ask after how good she was to me and the kids. I would have felt bad telling her no. Black small square. She just said she had friends and wanted to go out with them each Monday and Tuesday night. I stayed home with the kids and she always got back around 1 a.m. After the first couple weeks of her doing this, I asked how she met her friends in the first place. She told me that on Saturday mornings, she would take the kids to yard sales while I slept in. Black small square. In the neighborhood, she met one woman named Taylor who introduced her to her group of friends. It made sense to me. Black small square. I asked her why she never took any pictures with her friends on their nights out. My wife had a social media account but she never posted anything like that on there. Black small square. The answer I expected was that she didn't want her parents to know she was partying, but that's not the answer my wife gave me. Black small square. Instead, she got really tense. She said they didn't like being in pictures. I thought that was a little strange. I asked her if she was friends with Taylor on Facebook and she immediately said no and excused herself to go to the bathroom with her phone. I checked her Facebook friends on my phone and saw someone named Taylor. But their profile picture wasn't very clear. When I clicked on the name, the page went blank as if it couldn't load it. When I refreshed the page, the name was gone from my wife's friends list. Then she came out of the bathroom. I instantly felt like we were 12 years old or something. Black small square. I didn't like how this made me feel. So I asked her if she deleted Taylor from her friends list. She just very calmly said, I didn't need to worry. Then she woke the kids up for school. One day, shortly after that, I came home from work and grabbed the mail. I noticed a letter from Capital One. I curiously opened it and felt my heart start pounding as I scanned the page and found out that my wife had spent $1,500. I was the angriest I'd ever felt in my life. This was not the kind of purchase either of us would make without talking about it. First, I immediately went inside, showed her the letter and requested to see the online statement and purchase history. She was terrified, but she opened the account and let me see it. There was a large storage house for $1,000. I asked what it was and where it was. She was already crying knowing she was caught and wouldn't be able to lie about this. She confessed, she bought it for another man. Black small square. She looked sick to her stomach. So I asked her if she was in a relationship with this man. Black small square. She nodded ashamed. It was Taylor. Black small square. I was so angry. Black small square. I remained loyal to this woman all these years, having my children with her, knowing it was the right thing to do, only for her to cheat on me. I took care of this woman since she was just a girl, only for all that effort to backfire. She disgraced me and her families. I told her I wouldn't pay for a PS gift and kicked her out. She was shocked, scared and embarrassed. She hadn't been without me since she was 18, living with her parents. Our kids were crying, wondering why mommy was stuck outside. I wouldn't continue this relationship for another moment when she realized I wasn't going to let her in. She had no one else to call but a black small square. She probably didn't even consider calling her parents, who would never speak to her again. If they knew what she did, black small square. He came to pick her up and I was even more furious. It was almost worse than letting her back in. Black small square. Fast forward. 1 month later, I already told my parents what she did to me and how I was now having to face life as a single father. Somehow they refused to admit they made a poor arrangement for me. Divorce papers were being processed, but she hadn't been served yet because I didn't know where she was staying. Black small square. She called me crying her eyes out. She said AP kicked her out too because he had another girlfriend who was 3 months pregnant with his child. When he found out she was pregnant, he wanted her to move in and my wife to get out without him, me or her parents. She really had nowhere else to go because the friends she claimed to have weren't real. She begged me to take her back into our marital home and forget all about the divorce. She said she needed me, even though she was undeserving of my forgiveness. Black small square. All I ended up doing for her was buying her food. I wouldn't let her come back into the home, much less live with us again. She was destined to be my ex because she chose to cheat on me. Her parents were so embarrassed by her and her actions that she was disowned in the divorce proceedings. She was ordered to pay me child support. Black small square. She could only see the children if she met me somewhere like a park because she claimed to be homeless. I think she was staying somewhere really embarrassing and sketchy. So she preferred not to tell anyone about it. Black small square. Somehow she's still been able to meet us at the park for visits with the kids, but I never see a car. It's like someone drops her off for hours or she really is homeless. She doesn't look happy, that much is clear. Black small square. I'll start off by saying you did the right thing by kicking her out. Don't feel bad for the unfortunate situation she's found herself in. It is completely unfair to you and the children that she decided to start an affair, even though it was an arranged marriage and it wasn't the easiest romance. You remained loyal just as she should have. Like you said, you took care of her and then the kids for 14 years. You guys were a family where trust is an absolute must if you want to avoid losing your sanity. Black small square. It's a relief that you found out what happened by getting the mail. It's also a relief that she was just honest and told you the truth. When she was caught, she should have communicated with you in an attempt to save the marriage. Instead, she started an affair and lost her kids at home. It's purely karma that AP left her for another one. If you enjoy listening, please feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also comment below with your thoughts on what happened.